Hello YouTube and welcome to the nation of free to play. I'm Mr. Mondstadt and today I have the first video and also the first version of Spiral Abyss of Snezhnaya for you. The new floor 12 is here with new bosses and mechanics, so I will go over the enemies, the best characters to play and give you my F2P tips and tricks to help you in getting 36 stars. Let's go! Alright, first up let's have a look at the enemies. In Chamber 1 we have Rune Machines, or to be more precise, 4 Rune Cruisers, 8 Rune Scouts, but first and foremost the Perpetual Mechanical Array. The first side is pretty old school for a start, but don't worry, new enemies will follow shortly. On the second half we face a Construction Specialist mech from Fontaine, as well as the Icewind Suite Coppelius. In Chamber 2, the new bosses make their first appearance with a Chimeric Horned Bear and the new Alyosha boss Chimeric Winged Lion. I will go over them in detail later in this video. The second half features a Cryo Abyss Mage as well as the Inquitous Baptist with its 3 shields. And lastly, in Hall 3 we fight a new local legend from Snezhnaya, the battle-hardened Chimeric Volkodlak Archer, aka as Lady Furiosa, followed by a second half with a Netland robot, the Secret Source Automaton Hunter Seeker, and then the big blobby, the Mountain King. Alright, what are the blessings? First half, super conduct damage is increased by 200% and stellar conduct damage is increased by 75%, and on the second half, characters' normal attack pyro damage is increased by 75%. Yoimiya buff, I see. No, this abyss is made for the 5 stars on banner as usual, Odette and Arlecchino, no surprises here, but let's dive a bit deeper. Who should you play? Obviously the first half is made to sell the new stellar characters, so if you have any of the Snezhnaya 5 stars, use them. Sandrone, Odette, the buffed versions of Yaimiko, Wriothesley or Cyno should all get through this abyss rather easily. If these units are not an option, Cryo Traveler is your next best bet. They enable stellar conduct as well and can work as a pretty strong on-field DPS, especially with the new 5-star weapon. You could also go for the new stellar-swirl reaction with Cryo MC as an off-fielder and Mizuki as the on-fielder. As for supports, Escoffier, Chi-Chi, Baidu, Diona and Alyosha are all some good options. You can also always swap in Sucrose for more EM and Vivi, as Stellar Conduct is prioritized over Stellar Swirl, so even if you trigger both reactions it should not mess up your Stellar Conduct core. For the first chamber against the PMA you can also use whatever team suits you, as anything goes, but for the second and third chamber stellar damage can help you a lot. Of course, with strong enough investment you can probably find other ways through the enemies as well. Skur can be a decent option, even with a unit like Fischl, as the 200% superconduct buff can kinda make up for the loss of damage from bringing an electro character. As for other options, I expect Flints to get through with a cryo off-fielder like Chi-Chi or Escoffier, and other meta teams might also find a way, but since Cryo MC is free, it's probably your best shot just to use them with best available supports. Do equip the Deep Shadow artifact on Ether or Lamine in that case. The second half basically requires Pyro to have an easy time. As mentioned already, Arlecchino and Yoimiya will benefit the most from the blessing, but Mawika and Doran are also viable options. The best core is probably Overload, as it will break the cryo shield of Coppelius as well as deal with the Baptist shields. Ideally, you add Charus to this team core and play either Fischl, Jansan, Auron or Electro 5 stars like Laurent or Veressa with them. If you don't have that option available, you can try to brute force the second half with Zubai or Flint's teams, but I would not necessarily recommend it. Another strong pyro carry is of course Vaka, who should also get through, but will have a bit of an annoying matchup against the Baptist pyro shield. Here you would need to use animo hits to break the shields, as a third element is not allowed in Vaka teams, so it's a bit scuffed. And lastly, you could also opt for a Benefa core with Doran and Sucrose, so not too chill overall. With the general advice out of the way, let's have a closer look at every individual chamber. 12-1-1. The first chamber challenges us with a whole mob of rune machines. A total of 12 stalling bots will spawn and are meant to use up our damage and abilities before the PMA will eventually show itself. So AoE can be helpful in getting rid of the enemies faster. Someone like Novi, but ideally a unit that would use cryo beams instead of hydro. If only we had something like that. Joking aside, the fight itself is pretty straightforward. Rune machines don't have any special resistances and neither does the PMA, and against the boss, you know the drill. Damage it until the threshold is reached, then it will split into 4 sentinels and you have to kill the one with the ring around it. Once you've done so, the PMA will lie there paralyzed and you can finish it off. The sheer amount of things you need to kill combined with a high amount of total HP can make this chamber annoying, but again, you can always bring your strongest team, get 3 stars in 12-1 and then reset and switch for the stellar enemies in 12-2 and 12-3. You will still remain 3 stars even if you need more than 3 minutes to clear on your attempt with the new teams. 12-1-2. The second half has only one stalling robot, a construction specialist mech. It has no special res or mechanics, so just get rid of it. And then the Icewind Suite is a bit more complex. It will have increased resistances at the start of the fight and generally 70% against both cryo and animo. It will perform various attacks throughout the fight, but the interesting part of its kit is the climax. The dancing couple moves to the center of the arena and spawn 3 frost hearts that will deal cryo damage. On top of that, the boss will get a frozen shield. This one is easiest to break with pyro attacks, but electro can work as well. Plus, Usia aligned damage will get rid of the shield right away. Now, if you forgot about who has Usia aligned damage, here's an overview, and I'd say Chlorant and especially Charus are your best options. This is part of the reason why I would recommend Overload in this abyss so much. You can also use 3 Usia attacks to interrupt the boss's climax altogether. That's also nice info to have. But regardless, this boss luckily does not have too much HP, and with the right team core, you should get through pretty quickly. 12-2-1. Moving on to the new enemies of Snezhnaya, we face one Chimeric horned bear. This fluffy enemy has slightly higher resistances against pyro and quite a bit of HP, but overall still counts as a stalling enemy. The main challenge of this fight is the new overworld boss, the Chimeric Winged Lion. This enemy will have high resistances against animo and cryo, which is part of the reason why Stellar Conduct is better than stellar-swirl against this one, even though stellar-swirl might break the shield faster, so either option should work. Anyway, how does it work? Well, this two-headed beast has not only 2 heads, but also 2 states. The Thundercall state and the Gale Force state. It will change between these 2. The Thundercall state will generate an electro ward for the boss, while its head will attack you while channeling animo power to its sword to unleash a big electro shockwave. Your goal in the state is to break its electro ward. Cryo is obviously one of the best ways to do so. However, that is also where the stellar advantage comes in. If the boss is affected by stellar damage while charging up its electro shockwave, it will backfire at the line and damage its ward. And this backfire mechanic seems to be limited to stellar teams though, so which is why bringing Cryo MC might be the key to defeat this boss more easily. Anyway, once the ward is being broken, the boss will stop attacking and will be paralyzed for a while. The second state is called Gale Force. Here the boss will use its animo head to fly into the air, circle rapidly and fire gale bolts. It will also create a vortex and will absorb animo orbs on the field to recover its power. If it manages to do so, it will repeat the process, fly into the air and fire bolts at you once more. So here, your goal is to destroy the animo orbs on field. You can do so with pyro, hydro, electro and cryo attacks, so pretty similar to the solitary Suani's animo attack. Of course, there is a stellar cheat here as well, because if the boss is affected by stellar damage, it will be prevented to absorb these animal orbs. Once the vortex goes away, before the boss can fly into the air, it will be paralyzed once more. In the down phases you should deal as much damage to the line as possible, and overall, while it is possible without Stellar as well, there is not really a reason not to use Stellar, as Cryo MC is free. Either you have Snezhnaya or that, and as I said, if not, Traveler is pretty good in 7.0. 12-2-2. The second half features old opponents again, with the Cryo Abyss Mage, and as with all Cryo shields, Pyro is best, Electro is also useful, so I'm sure you'll find a way through that. The actual fight is against the Inquitous Baptist. This enemy will perform various attacks and has no special resistances. Note that the ring attack and its res only applies to the overworld, not the Abyss version. What does apply though are its elemental shields. The boss will use 3 elements, and in this version it is Pyro, Cryo and Electro. Therefore it will get elemental shields of these 3 elements. Your job is to break these shields in order to paralyze the boss and be able to actually deal significant damage to it. So we will have to deal with 1 Pyro shield, 1 Cryo shield and 1 Electro shield. And you can see all the gauge values here, but once again I incentivize you to bring Pyro and ideally Electro. In Overload comp, the Electro app will get rid of the Pyro shield, Pyro and Electro will work against the Cryo shield, and Pyro is pretty efficient against Electro as well. Alternatively, you can also go for an Overvape team, where Hydra will help you against the Pyro shield. You also see that mono teams are not recommended, as you will need lots of animal or geo hits to deal with any of the elemental shields. And you can also see here why melee teams are not ideal for the second half of Spiral Abyss. The Icewind Suite is cryo resistant, and cryo is also not effective at all against the Baptist's Pyro shield, so I hope this makes sense to you and I could convince you of Overload. 12-3-1. Here we have to defeat one of the new local legends, the battle-hardened Chimeric Walcott Luck Archer. This local legend Archer is a ranged unit, so having some movement and perhaps AoE is advisable. Other than her cryo attacks, her main gimmick are her plant powers or roots. Furiosa will summon these whenever she is about to perform a powerful attack. Your priority is to destroy them in time in order to stop that attack and stun her for a moment. Since she does not only summon one root at a time, AoE is useful. Ideally you want to target both roots at the same time, so once again Snezhnaya is a good option, who would have thought. Melee units are also pretty effective, so Varka, Mavuika or Arlecchino can work as well. And after the boss has taken lots of damage, Furiosa will burrow into the ground, hiding from your attacks. And here as well, you need to break the root to force her back up quickly and stun her. So overall, while this enemy is pretty tanky, it is not too shilly and you will be able to find a way through one way or another. And lastly, 12-3-2. We finished things off with 2 good old Natlan enemies. First, the Hunter Seeker Automaton. This one will perform different attacks and accumulate countermeasure points whenever a character enters the Night Soul Blessing state. Once the enemy reaches 100 of these points, it will unleash its laser attack and be exhausted afterwards for 4 seconds. During the time, its res will drop by 40%. But it is a stalling enemy, so while Night Soul units give you a small advantage, they are not necessary here at all, and you can also play a Natlan free team. The main fight is against the Mountain King. This blobby has 70% Dendro resistance and is mostly an HP sponge. At some point in the fight it will put 3 balls on the field and you need to apply pyro to them. You need to do so before the boss can suck up the balls and fire them at you. That sounds wrong somehow. Anyway, you get the idea, hit them with pyro and the boss will take big damage and be stunned for a few seconds. Other than that, all you really need to know is its attack pattern, especially its spinning attacks. While it's rotating, there's no point to attack it, as you will be fired back. The blobby will spin to the edge of the arena and then back to the center, so it's best to hold your abilities until it's done with it. And that's all about Mountain King, and also all about this Spiral Abyss. Overall, while there are not too many team variations available, I would say that it is still very doable for F2Ps, with cryo MC being free, and basically any account has probably at least one pyro DPS at this point. Anyway, I hope this video helped you with your Abyss clears and you managed to get as many primos for the upcoming Snezhnaya characters. If so, please leave a like and consider subscribing to my channel, as it is free and really helps me in creating more videos like these in the future. Also, if you have any more questions about who to play, what set to run on who, etc., just ask in the comments down below and I will try to answer as many as possible. With that being said, I'm done for the day, so thanks again for watching, good luck on your clears, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!